let's start in Denver with the Broncos taking on the 49ers. We all saw week 1, Russell Wilson, when he got booed in Seattle, his former team. Then week 2, Russell Wilson, when he got booed in Denver, his current team will enter week 3. Russell Wilson taking on the San Francisco 49ers. And what in the world can Russell Wilson prove? Because, boy, does he have a lot to prove. Head coach Nathaniel Hackett has been doing him absolutely no favors. But his former coach Pete Carroll was willing to let him go. His former teammate, Richard Sherman, first ballot Hall of Famer, is saying when Russell Wilson cooks, he burns down the kitchen. So Russ has a lot on the line week 3. I would go as far as to say his reputation is on the line against the San Francisco 49ers. Because if his former coach didn't want him, his former team doesn't love him, his current team is booing him, then golly, Russell Wilson, you better remind the entire world who it is that you are. And you can do it on Sunday night primetime television. Shady McCoy, I got to come to you, big dog.
Okay.
You did a lot in your career for several different teams. You won 2 Super Bowls. You know what it is to have a huge reputation. So let's talk about Russell Wilson's. Is his reputation on the line this Sunday versus 49ers?
Hell yeah. And if somebody says no, they're lying. Listen, when everybody talked about how Russell was going to the Broncos, it was big hype. It was big attention. Like, oh, my God, they have a chance. Maybe a Super Bowl. All the young players they have, all the defense. And now it's like you struggle against the Texans. You struggle against the Seahawks. Them guys are not good. Then Sunday night, you got a chance to go out there and get your respect back, to get your reputation back. Because it's Russell. All your old teammates talking bad about you. Can he play? Can he play? Is he the same? Can he cook? I'll give you a quick story. When I got traded from Philadelphia to the Bills,
yes,
right?
Sir.
They made me the highest paid running back. Felt good. But I didn't have a great start off. And I start hearing the whispers in the papers and newspapers. Is he really that good? Is he falling off? The same thing that's going on with Russ. What did I do? I picked it up. I came through in a primetime game and gave him crazy work to let everybody know I'm still that guy. So, Russ, remind everybody, you're still that guy.
The first thing you spent when you became the highest paid running back for the Bills, was it the 2 chains?
No.
Was that the first purchase?
Oh, this is light. No.
That's light. Was it the watch?
This is light. No.
Then, Joy, I don't know what's heavy. Anyway, Joy, let me come to you. Though Shady may have already indicted you as a liar.
I know.
Because he said that
I don't like being called a liar, Shady.
Joy, is Russell Wilson's reputation on the line this Sunday?
No, I think the Broncos' reputation is on the line on
like
Sunday.
That?
When you have a resume that precedes you, when you have a team and multiple teams that are interested in trading multiple picks and making big efforts to get you, when you have a Super Bowl ring, when you have the credentials that Russell Wilson has, you don't have to go out there in week 3 and have a spectacular game to keep your reputation. If you feel so or think so little of Russ already, then you probably didn't think much of him to begin with. And there are people out there that don't think that much of Russell Wilson. I think they're wrong, but it doesn't matter because he has the ring. He has the accomplishments. You can't take that away from him. What the Broncos have is no identity. So the Broncos as a whole, Nathaniel Hackett, Russell Wilson, and the rest of the team need to come out with a statement game, a clean game, no goofy penalties, no weird mishaps by the coaching staff. They need to look good in this game. That doesn't mean kicking the Niners' ass. It just means going out and getting a good, solid, convincing win that you feel good about moving forward. They have won a game. It was a messy game. We didn't like how it looked, but a win is a win. There is no asterisk next to it that says, well, we didn't really like how this one went. So to me, it's less about Russ's reputation and the Broncos as a whole, because Russ's reputation to me is already solidified.
If they lose, if they do in fact lose, because you've told us what they need to do. They need to win. They need to clarify their identity. They need to clean up the penalties. The Broncos need to do a whole bunch of stuff. But say they don't, then what?
Well, then they have a lot of work to do, probably more work than I even thought that they had to do. But again, I did not think this was going to be a turnkey situation in Denver. I expected Russ to elevate this team. We've been talking about this team as a contender or possible contender just being a quarterback away for a long time. But having a new first-time head coach matters. There is a whole other side of the ball. There are moving parts on every aspect of the game. He doesn't clearly have the experience to step in right now and make big-time head coaching decisions on the fly in the moments. We've seen that. Them being an undisciplined team, I think, is a reflection of coaching. When you get to that level of penalties, that to me means that there's a lot of discipline levels that are not being hit within the organization. So I didn't expect this to be, again, what happened with Matthew Stafford, what happened with Tom Brady. This is a situation that is more unstable, and it's not all on Russ to right the ship.
Dave, you've covered a very polarizing quarterback. You covered Dak Prescott, maybe the most polarizing quarterback in all of football over the last 5 years. Dak Prescott's reputation, outside of Russell Wilson, probably the most in flux. So you know a whole lot, and you spent a whole lot of time about covering quarterbacks whose reputations are up in the air. Is Russell Wilson's reputation on the line on Sunday?
The short answer is yes, although I think there's valid points on both sides here. Joey's totally right that what Russell Wilson has done for his career is solidified, right? Like, he's going to have a case to go into the Hall of Fame regardless of what happens here in Denver. But this is a reactionary league, and it's not just those of us on TV that do that. Like, that is the nature of this thing. I'm glad you mentioned Dak. When I heard we were going to talk about this, I had a vivid memory of 2020. Cowboys played the Seahawks week 3, and Dak and Russell Wilson don't laugh at me, but they were in the center of the MVP conversation. They were both balling out. Russell Wilson, as recently as 2020, was considered that dude. It was Rodgers, Mahomes, and then right after those two, you're probably talking about Russ. And through no true fault of his own, he got hurt last year. He has fallen way the hell out of that conversation. These are his numbers from 2019 and 2020. Seahawks went 23-9. He threw 71 touchdowns to 18 picks. He was averaging 4,000 yards a year. Last year was his first season with a losing record. And that's how quickly it can turn, because what's happened since then? Joe Burrow has risen up to be that guy. Justin Herbert has risen up to be that guy. Lamar Jackson was already good when Russ was balling, but you get my point. Like, all of a sudden, all these new guys are in the conversation. It's on Russell Wilson to keep himself in that conversation, because right now he's not.
Let me do you one further, and our stats guys in the back's ears are going to perk up when I say this. Hopefully it is indeed accurate. If I'm not mistaken, there were 10 quarterbacks ahead of Russell Wilson on the NFL Top 100. Now, not all players give a lot of credence to that list. Sometimes we're in the cafeteria just circling here. Y'all take the list. But with that being said, there were 10 quarterbacks ahead of Russell Wilson on the NFL's Top 100 as voted on by Russell Wilson's peers. So, Shady, I'm more on your side in regards to Russell Wilson's reputation is in flux as it pertains to former athletes. Joy, as it pertains to media, I'm with you. Russ, first ballot Hall of Famer, check. Yeah. But when you listen to his former teammates, not even Richard Sherman, I don't know if y'all saw KJ Wright, an integral piece of the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl winning defense. KJ Wright, a solid player. He came out to Twitter this week and was like, Russell Wilson always got preferential treatment. So at least within former NFL players and current NFL players, Russ's rep is in question. Shady, if Russ goes out there and struggles, does that condemn his reputation in totality? Or are you now like antennas up, maybe Russ wasn't all that good?
Well, first of all, Russ is a great player, right? He has his resume. Championships, a lot of wins, a lot of stats, like Dave talked about. But it's all about what have you done for me lately, right? You can go out there and have all these yards. And Patrick Mahomes could do so many great things back then, but if you don't play well now, is he still the same? So, yes, it matters. His reputation's on the line because guys like myself, KJ Wright, Richard Sherman, like guys you playing with. They gave you 240, bro. Hey, man, you putting up 3, 6, 9 points. What's going on? So the reputation is bigger than just the media. It's the guys in your inner circle. It's the guys in the locker room. It matters. This game really matters.
Joy, how long is he safe? Because I hear what you're saying, and I don't fully disagree with it. He has a 9-year healthy sample size of balling, a 10-year career of balling. Russell Wilson and I went into the NFL draft together. I've been on TV for 5, 6 years now, and he's still been balling. So I get it. He's been great for so long, but how long does he have until even you, who's giving him the benefit of the doubt, are kind of like, wait a second now, Russ, maybe it was that defense?
I don't think it was just that defense all of those years in Seattle. I know that because the past few years in Seattle, the defense has been bad, and he has been elevating them. Also, not to derail it, but doesn't the quarterback generally get preferential treatment
everywhere he goes? Yes, yeah.
Supposed to.
Franchise quarterbacks. Yes.
All that aside, if this season ends up being a disaster, meaning you don't have a winning season, I will be concerned deeply about what Russell Wilson can do. Because while I do think that it might take a little time to right the ship, we've talked about this when Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay. Shady talked about it. Really, before the bye, it was a little choppy. They needed some time to assess things, see what Tom liked, and they rightfully made the adjustment. Russ, I think, is in a similar situation. Now, again, the difference is you had a veteran not only a veteran head coach, a veteran coaching staff there.
That's true.
So those kind of things are easier to adjust when people know what it takes to win and are willing to recognize we can win if we all collaborate. I don't know if that's the situation in Denver.
On the other side of the ball, Jimmy Garoppolo, he's going to be making his first start of the season. If y'all recall, Trey Lance, who the 49ers spent 3 first-round picks on, started this season, even though Jimmy Garoppolo took the Niners to an NFC championship game last year. Trey Lance, broken leg, out for season. Enter Jimmy G. He has to some degree, in my mind, be playing to prove that he belongs as a starter in the National Football League. Jimmy Garoppolo, you can prove that. Once again, that is what you have at stake, showing the world that you are indeed a starter, and Trey Lance should not have been playing ahead of you. And if Trey Lance does come back and take your spot, you'll be starting elsewhere. But, Shady, when you look at Jimmy G, a man who you played in the Super Bowl, the biggest game of all games, of all sports, when you look at Jimmy G, what does he have on stake this Sunday against Russell Wilson?
It's a prove-it game from him. Like, listen, you guys, I took you to the playoffs. I took you to the Super Bowl. That wasn't good enough. You went out there, you gave up 3 first-rounders for a quarterback to take over my job. Then you make me the backup, right? Now that Trey Lance is hurt, now I'm back and I'm being a starter again. It seems like all the players kind of got what they wanted. So now it's a prove-it time. Like, look, I'm gonna make sure my guys know, like, this is what you wanted, this is what you got. I'm here for the long haul. He has to show up, man.
Now, Joy, we know your belief is that at the end of the day, it's Trey Lance's job. 3 first-round picks. That's what they gave up for Trey Lance. Trey needs to play. You've invested way too much capital in Trey Lance. How dare you not play him? Is there anything that Jimmy G can do for the rest of the season, but starting this Sunday, that might somehow keep Trey Lance and all those first-round picks at bay?
Yeah, there's one thing he can do. Well, 2 things, I guess. I suppose if he won a league MVP, they'd have to consider him.
Yeah.
I don't think that's in the stars.
No.
He'd have to win a Super Bowl. He'd have to win a Super Bowl. That's what Jimmy Garoppolo can do. So, in my opinion, there's literally nothing at stake. He's the starter. This is it. Trey Lance is not on the bench. He's injured. He's not looming over him. There's no scenario where Trey Lance comes back for this season. So it's Jimmy Garoppolo's job. We've already seen what Jimmy Garoppolo can do with this team. We know what he is. Please throw the ball, Jimmy, in big games. I like Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's a winning quarterback. I would not have made this move for Trey Lance. I would have put things around Jimmy to help elevate him. If you can get us to the Super Bowl and be 1 throw away from winning the Super Bowl, I would have leaned more into that. Now, he does have an injury problem, as we know. But other than that, this is Jimmy's team for the rest of the year. I don't think he needs to prove anything on Sunday.
I don't like disagreeing with you, Joy, but I have to. I'm about to. How's that, Shady?
Okay.
How's that?
Okay, all right, okay.
I think a lot is at stake for Jimmy because this is an extended job audition. Like, somebody's always watching in the NFL.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with Joy that his future doesn't lie in San Francisco, but I assume he doesn't want to retire when this is all over, and I assume he doesn't want to be a backup again. He's got to play well. He's got to play better than what we typically associate with Jimmy G because 31 other, well, maybe not 31, but any team that has a quarterback need is looking at this guy saying, is he worth paying market value or even close to market value? Are we going to turn on the tape in January and February and say, oh, yeah, like he played pretty well against the Broncos, but man, there was a 3-game stinker in October. No, like that stuff matters. He's got to play incredibly well. I don't think he can salvage his future in San Francisco. There's a lot of other places his career can take him if he plays well, though.
Yeah, they already did that this offseason, and everyone said no thanks.
Phenomenal conversation. I cannot wait to watch what happens there.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.